It's Age here from 9 with the first of a series of videos to help people get up to speed and start using battleships with the Ragnarok carrier. Predominantly these videos will concentrate on dreads with Ragnarok, but Zills are just as effective. This first video is going to concentrate more on the actual build and setup of the ships themselves. Potentially this video couldn't have come at a worse time at the moment, because the game's going through big changes where they're concentrating more on player versus player, which is kind of why we're wanting to do these videos, so we can try and get people more confident at using them, so when it does become fleet versus fleet, we've got more people who can attack. So at the moment we don't have all the information with what the new update is going to look like. The Top Gear calculator is currently probably about half finished. In the top right hand corner you've got a green circle which indicates the current values, and when you click it and it goes red like it is now, it goes on to the new values. However, on the forum, part 3 of the rebalancement announcement will be concerning Mark upgrades and some ship mass changes. Now that's all we've got at the moment, so I can't really look at anything other than Mark 1s, and potentially this is what a Mark 1 fleet will look like going forward. So I'm going to show you what it is going to be post update. So if you are starting to build dreads and Ragnarok, because I've seen a few people ask that question in the last week or so, because their first set of ships are starting ready to be built now after the recent events and riots. So what we have here then is a potential good starter dread Ragnarok fleet. It's a level 52 Mark 1s, 8 hours repair time, which is better than my current repair time, which I think is probably just short of 15 hours, so that's good. It's got a good DPS of 1111 and a good total of defense of just under 30,000 built up of armor and shields. So for a Mark 1, that's pretty, it's looking pretty good. In regards to the actual build up of the actual dreads themselves, and so you can go with an all Echo fleet, which is what I'm currently using at the moment, Echo 3s and 2s on all my dreads. But I was watching Miro the other day doing a VSEC on the Riot, and he was doing 55s, and his Aurora dreads were just tearing Corinthians apart, which for myself they just take that a little bit longer to do with the Echo Rays, because they're not as strong as the Aurora Rays. This is probably, after the update, the type of setup that I potentially will be changing to. I mean, as I mentioned, I'm using all Echo dreads at the moment, but with one Aurora dread in the middle, that just gives you like another option really, if you want to take out a battleship while you're farming, or it just gives you that extra bit of firepower on a fleet versus fleet. Then the Aurora dread is just, I wouldn't make them all Aurora dreads, because you start losing that range, and the chain that you get with the Echoes are really good for taking on 4 ships at once, which is good for farming and good for player versus player. But what I did notice when I was doing the supply runs, so that's when you're fighting against Vega, when they have a carrier. You group your dreads together to cover your own carrier to help protect your carrier from the enemy squadrons. I was noticing that when I had complete Echo Ray dreads, my carrier was taking on a bit of damage. I was finishing on 95-96%. Whereas when I did have one Aurora dread in there, then it was much better, say 100%, 99-98%. So the Aurora dread is, I would recommend it. It just helps cover your carrier, and it'd be good for when you're doing player versus player or farming Vegas. So let's just talk through about what you must have on each of these battleships as an absolute must, and they are Fusion Thrusters 3, gives you the speed that you need and also the turning capabilities. If you've got rear thrusters 5, you're just simply not going to be able to turn quick enough, and that's the same with the carrier as well. Because we're using energy based weapons, you need focus optics 5, not the ironed eyes optics which gives you shield and distance. You need as much distance as possible. So focus optics 5. It's also lighter as well. Obviously, post update, you're going to be using Zinth 5 on pretty much everything. Net Torpedo 2, even on my Mark 5 and 4 Dreads, I'm still using Net Torpedo 2, and that's because the Net Torpedo 3 is simply too heavy. Net Torpedo 2, one on each of your Dreads, is sufficient to slow down majority of cutter fleets and other fleets when you're doing against the Vegas. Arrestor beams are just too short on distance now. I've just literally just watched a fight of Dreads and a Ragnarok versus a fleet of cutters, and the guy with the Dreads was flying away really good. Really thought he would quite easily, destroy those cutters, but he had one with Net Torpedo and 2 with the Arrestor beams, and those cutters just simply got too close into his Dreads and cut him up, and destroyed him. So I would stay away from the Arrestor beams for now and stick with Net Torpedo 2s. As you see, I've got a mixture of 3s and 2 Echo Rays and Aurora Rays at the moment, to just try and fit as much as I can on. You can go with a Spectra Shield on all of the Dreads, because that's what's going to be the best shield going forward. We'll have to see how that compares against Meta 3, but so we'll come back to that. On my carrier, I'm looking at a Meta Phase 3 shield, Fusion Thrusters 3, and I never have any armour on my carrier. Normally it's flying away from Vegas, it's flying away from enemy ships and things, so to save weight I tend, and I still have no armour on it at the moment, and you've still got 3,000 plus another 3,000, you've got the best part of 6,000 there already. Bomber Squadron 3s, if you've got Bomber Squadrons, just max them out on 3s. This is a Mark 1 setup and I've already got them on quite comfortably. Bomber Squadron 3 compared to the Interceptor 3, there's about a 50 extra damage per second per slot. So you've got an extra 200 damage per second there compared to an Interceptor version. Yes, it's a little bit shorter on the range, but to be fair, on farming Vegas or fleet versus fleet, that difference, it doesn't make any difference. I'd rather go with the stronger squadrons. So for now, because we don't really know what's going to happen with the Mark upgrades, there's no point really getting much into that at the moment. I mean, everyone's got their own slight take on how this looks, but for now, that's it. That should be your kind of like starting fleet setup for Dreads and Ragnarok. What I'd like to do is go back into the game. Okay, so to finish this video off, what I'd like to do is to show you how I set up all my ships for all my fights, be it player versus player or against like regular Vega. So what I like to do is just show you, I group them all together. I like using keys 2 and 4, and we need to get the Dreads closer together. Send your carrier away, and you'll see the firing arcs of the Dreads are going to start to come closer and start to overlap, which does a couple of important things. Firstly, when you shoot at ships, you've got more chance of all 3 of your Dreads shooting all at one ship, which obviously increases the firepower. And also as well, when you are trying to cover your carrier with your Dreads from the enemy's carriers and trying to kill off those squadrons, they're all bunched together, so they cover that carrier a lot more effectively. So no matter what fight you're about to do, what you want to try and do is try and get those Dreads as close together as possible, just to help increase the overall firepower against your enemy. This isn't really a video of me showing you how to do Vega 50s, but it was more of a case of how to set up the fleets themselves and how to get them positioned in a fight. But it seems I'm in this fight already now. Then send the other 2 dreads away. You only need 1, because what happens is as these the enemy's battleships start to fire on your ships, it will miss behind your ship, and if you've got a group of them, what will tend to happen is they'll start hitting your ships behind you. So you only want to do using 1 ship at a time. Yeah, and then just circle them, really. It really is as simple as that. You don't really need the carrier now for this. If I can get the carrier in range, in that green circle there, then the squadrons will start to come out, and yeah, just help give me like a bit more of a firepower in taking these other dreads down. But yeah, that's pretty much that's it for the first video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully you got a better an idea of how to fit your ships and how to get them ready for battle. The next series of videos that we're putting together will concentrate on supply runs, riots, so you can all start trying to get the tech you needed to build up these ships, get the Echo 3, which is really hard, get the mid-guard pieces, because I understand you can't upgrade your carrier without having those mid-guard pieces, unless you're Oracle, which I believe he has no mid-guard pieces whatsoever, and has the ability to upgrade his carriers somehow. So yeah, and then lastly we'll be doing a series of videos against player versus player. But obviously we didn't want to start with those, because you need to know how to make these things and how to start building up the tech. So yeah, that's it for today. That's Age from 9, and yeah, we'll be back in touch soon. We'll just kill this last one. It's actually quite difficult to talk and fly at the same time, I have just found out. Yesterday I was trying to do 55s in the riot, and I can do them without being hit once now, but at the time when I was getting watched by Heisenberg and Alex and such, I was getting destroyed. The pressure gets to you, so it's quite funny. Okay, come on, let's just kill this last one, and that's it, all done. Right then, so we'll be in touch soon for the next video.